Brihadaranyaka Vartika. Brihadaranyaka Vartika. There is a teaching from ancient India that has outlasted the kingdoms, the debates, and even the name of the one who wrote it down. It comes to us from the 8th century, attributed to a master known as Sureshvara, a direct student of Shankara, the great clarifier of the Advaita Vedanta tradition. Sureshvara composed this vast work, the Brihadaranyaka Vartika, as an elaboration of Shankara's commentary on the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the great forest teaching, one of the oldest and most expansive of the ancient wisdom texts. His purpose was precise: to close every door through which the restless mind might escape the recognition of what it already is. Where Shankara laid out the teaching, Sureshvara followed every thread to its end. The text you are about to hear is his great introduction to that forest, a clearing of the ground before the journey begins. He called it the Sambandha Vartika, the great ocean of sovereignty. Listen now as Sureshvara speaks. I bow to that existence which is the source of all light, the mass of pure awareness, the shoreless ocean of bliss. It is the one that appears as the Lord, the soul, and the world, yet remains untouched by the play of shadows. I bow to my master, Shankara, the lion of wisdom who destroyed the elephants of false logic. He has handed us the keys to the Brihadaranyaka, the great forest of secret knowledge. I speak these words only to clarify the path for those who seek the truth. And I bow to the unbroken stream of teachers who carried this lamp from hand to hand through the dark centuries, to Gaudapada and the lineage that holds the light between them, each one drinking from the same well and pouring it faithfully into the next waiting vessel. Without the tradition, the word is only a sound. With it, the word is a fire. I declare the purpose of this work. What Shankara has left as direct statement, I will examine from every side. Where a door remains, I will close it. Where a crack of doubt remains, I will press the argument until the crack is sealed. This Vartika is not a decoration added to a finished house. It is the mortar between every stone. Let the seeker whose mind is still restless with questions sit down now, and let the questions be answered one by one. The world is under a heavy spell. Men believe they are servants of fate, servants of the body, and servants of the gods. They hear the Vedas giving orders: do this ritual to get rain, do that ritual to reach heaven. They have become addicted to the commandment. But the Upanishad stands apart. It does not give you a new task. It does not tell you to do anything. It whispers a truth that ends all duties. You are already the king. Sureshvara draws a line in the sand. There are two kinds of reality in the mind. The first is the task, anything that must be made or achieved. A pot, a house, a heaven, a ritual result. These depend on your effort. They have a beginning and they have an end. Action rules this land. The second is the fact, something that is already there. The gold in the ring, the clay in the pot, the sun behind the clouds. You do not create the fact. You only remove the ignorance that hides it. The verdict is this: the self is not a task. You cannot attain Brahman, for you are never separate from it. The Upanishad is not a work order. It is a revelation. Imagine a man who lives in a hut, begging for bread every day. Unknown to him, a massive chest of gold is buried right beneath his floorboards. He does not need to earn the gold. He does not need to travel to a distant city to find it. He only needs someone to point to the floor and say, "Look down." The Upanishad is that pointing finger. It does not give you the gold. It gives you the knowledge that the gold is there. The moment you know, the beggar dies and the king is born. This is why knowledge is superior to action. Action is for the one who lacks. Knowledge is for the one who is already full. There are those who say, knowledge is just a part of ritual. We must know the self only so we can perform rituals better. Sureshvara strikes back. How can the master be a servant to the servant? Rituals exist to purify the mind so it can see the truth. Once the truth is seen, the rituals fall away like dry leaves from a tree. The self is independent. It does not ask permission from the priests to be free. The self is the sovereign witness. It illuminates the ritual, the prayer, and the silence. It is the light that needs no lamp. We enter this great treatise now, not to learn a new way to work, but to learn how to finally rest in the sovereignty of being. The ritualist argues, the Veda is a book of commands. It exists to make us move. If the Upanishads do not tell us to perform an action, they are as useless as a lamp in an empty room. Sureshvara responds, you are trying to buy the infinite sky with the coins of a beggar. Every action is born of a desire. Every desire is born of a sense of lack. And every lack is born of the illusion that you are a limited, starving creature. How can an act born of limitation ever produce the limitless? Action is the language of the prisoner. It cannot describe the nature of the sun. Understand the nature of the deed. Action can only do 4 things to a substance. It can create a new pot from clay. It can allow you to reach a distant city. It can turn milk into curd. It can scrub the rust off a mirror. The self is none of these. It is not produced, for it is eternal. It is not acquired, for it is already your own heart. It is not transformed, for it is the immutable. It is not purified, for it is the stainless source of purity itself. Since the self falls into none of these categories, action has no business here. It is a tool with no object. Then why do the Vedas speak of rituals at all? Sureshvara explains, rituals are for the cleaning of the mirror. They are intended to exhaust the restlessness of the mind. Just as a man scrubs the dust off a mirror to see his face, rituals scrub the dirt of desire off the intellect. But the scrubbing does not create the face. The face was there even when the mirror was dirty. Once the mirror is clean, the man throws away the brush and the soap. He does not keep scrubbing forever. Knowledge is the moment the brush is dropped and the face is seen. The ritualist promises heaven, a place of perfect pleasure. Sureshvara warns, heaven is just a golden cage. It is a result produced by action, and therefore it is governed by time. Anything that has a beginning must have an end. When the merit is spent, the soul falls back into the fire of birth and death. To seek heaven is to seek a more comfortable prison cell. True sovereignty is not found in a place. It is found in the state of being that remains when all places are gone. Action requires 3 things, a doer, a tool, and a goal. This is the trinity of difference. But the truth is the one without a second. How can you reach the one by emphasizing the 3? The more you do, the more you strengthen the doer, the ego. The more you strengthen the ego, the thicker the wall of the prison becomes. The path of ritual is a treadmill in a burning house. You are moving fast, you are sweating, you feel holy, but you have not moved an inch toward the door. The door opens only when the doer falls silent. The rival scholar speaks, why must you be so extreme? Reality is a tapestry of many colors. The soul is like a spark from a fire. It is the same as the fire. yet it is a separate spark. The world is like a wave on the ocean. It is the ocean, yet it has its own shape. Truth is both difference and identity. Now Sureshvara names the position precisely before he dismantles it. This is the view of Brihadaranyaka, difference and identity, and its most careful proponent argued that the relation between the individual soul and Brahman is one of real transformation, the way milk genuinely becomes curd. The world is not an illusion superimposed on Brahman. It is Brahman actually modified, actually poured out into shapes. If that is true, then difference is real. Then the wave is genuinely other than the ocean. Then liberation is a journey between two truly distinct shores. Sureshvara responds, this is the era of parinama, real transformation, and it cannot be rescued. If Brahman truly transforms into the world, then Brahman is a thing that changes, and a thing that changes is a thing that perishes. You have made the eternal into a lump of clay. The Upanishad does not say Brahman poured itself out and became less. It says the world appears in Brahman the way a dream appears in a sleeping mind. The dreamer does not become the dream. The dream has no substance of its own. It borrows every color from the mind that holds it. This is vivata, appearance without transformation, without real modification, without any loss to the ground from which the appearance rises. The clay does not become the pot. The pot is a name given to a shape that the clay never actually ceased to be. You are trying to weave a cloth out of light and darkness. Difference and identity are like fire and ice. They cannot occupy the same space. If the soul is truly different from Brahman, then Brahman is limited. If Brahman is limited, it is not the infinite. Your middle path is not a bridge. It is a trap that keeps the soul half-chained to the ghost of the world. Consider a cup of pure nectar. If you add a single drop of poison, is the cup still life-giving? No, so it is with oneness. If you say I am Brahman, but there is still a tiny bit of me that is real and separate, you have poisoned the well. Difference is the root of fear. As long as there is an other, there is a rival. As long as there is a rival, there is no peace. The sword of wisdom does not trim the branches of difference. It uproots the tree. The rival argues, the soul is a part of God like a leaf is part of a tree. Sureshvara strikes, does the infinite have parts? If Brahman has parts, then it is like a pot made of clay, a composite thing. Anything made of parts can be broken. Anything that can be broken is subject to time. If your God has parts, your God is mortal. The truth is partless. The part is an illusion of the lens. When you look through a cracked glass, the sun looks broken. Does the sun have parts? No. Fix the glass, and the sun is revealed as the unbroken whole. The rival clings to his metaphor. The wave is real and the ocean is real. They exist together. Sureshvara retorts, look closer at the wave. What is its substance? Water. If you take away the water, is there a wave? No, the wave is just a temporary name and a moving shape given to the water. The ocean is the water. The wave is the water. There are not two things, ocean plus wave. There is only water. And more precisely, the wave never underwent a real transformation. The water did not cease to be water in order to become a wave. The wave is a shape held in the water's surface, an appearance, not a modification. Call it wave, call it ocean, you have only ever touched water. Difference is a linguistic trick. Identity is the physical fact. The seeker asks, but the world looks so diverse. How can I deny the difference I see with my own eyes? Sureshvara explains, the eyes see the snake, but the heart must know the rope. The difference you see belongs to the shadow. It has no heart of its own. It borrows its heartbeat from you. To grant the world even a shred of independent reality is to build a wall between yourself and the sun. Sovereignty is not sharing the throne with the world. It is realizing there is no throne and no world, only the king. Let the seeker be ruthless. Do not look for a middle path. Do not try to make a deal with the ego. Identity is total or it is nothing. I am the whole, not a part, not a spark, not a wave. The ocean has realized it is water. The war of the worlds is over. The compromiser speaks. Knowledge is the flame, but action is the oil. Without the oil of ritual and duty, the flame of wisdom will flicker and die. One must know the self and perform the deeds commanded by the Veda. They are two wings of a single bird. Sureshvara responds, you are trying to build a house of ice inside a furnace. Knowledge and action are born of opposite parents. Action is born of ignorance, the belief that I am a limited doer who needs a result. Knowledge is the death of ignorance, the realization that I am the unmoving witness. How can the doer and the witness occupy the same chair? If you are the sun, where is the night? If you are the night, where is the sun? The two-winged bird is a phantom of a divided mind. The compromiser argues, but surely knowledge needs the merit of action to remain steady. Even a king must pay his guards. Sureshvara retorts, does the sun need a candle to see the world? Does the ocean need a cup of water to be wet? Knowledge is not a state that you produce. It is the nature of the self. The self does not need merit to be the self. Merit belongs to the ego, but the ego is the very ghost that knowledge has come to slay. To say that knowledge needs action is to say that the victor needs the permission of the defeated to stand on the field. The ritualist clings to his last thread. The Veda commands us to act. If we stop acting once we know the truth, we are breaking the law of the Creator. Sureshvara explains, the law is for the sleeper, not for the one who has woken up. A man in a dream may be commanded to cross a river to save his life, but when he wakes up, does he still need to find a boat? No. The requirement to act depended entirely on the hallucination that you were a limited biological creature. Once the hallucination is gone, the commandment has no address to be delivered to. The king cannot be a subject to his own decree. The seeker asks, but if I stop doing, will I not become lazy? Will I not become a stone? Sureshvara answers, this fear belongs to the ego, which is terrified of its own funeral. To the world, the sage may look still, or he may look busy, but inside he has signed the final decree of divorce. He has handed the hands back to the body and the mind back to the elements. He no longer claims the movement as his own. He is the sovereign witness. Laziness and industry are both ripples on a pond. He is the depth that does not ripple. In the light of pure identity, the word should dies. The knower has no must, no ought, and no duty. He is not a good man trying to be better. He is the substance of goodness itself. The slaughter of the compromise is the birth of the great ease. The seeker has stopped trying to improve the reflection and has finally looked at the face. The skeptic asks, words are finite. They are born of the throat and die in the ear. How can these small, temporary sounds reveal Brahman, who is infinite, silent, and beyond the reach of speech? You are trying to catch the wind with a net made of thread. Sureshvara responds, you misunderstand the nature of the tool. The word of the Upanishad is not a description. It is a directive. Just as a lamp does not create the pot in a dark room but simply removes the darkness that hides it, the word does not create the self. The self is already there, shining in its own glory. The word is the hand that pushes aside the curtain of the me. When the curtain is gone, the sun is seen by its own light, not by the light of the word. Consider the mirror. Does a mirror give you a face? No. If you are faceless, a mirror cannot help you. The face is already on your shoulders, but because of a strange trick of perspective, you cannot see it directly. You need the mirror to bridge the gap. The Upanishad is the linguistic mirror. It takes the I, which you usually think is a body, and reflects it back to you as the infinite. The words that thou art are the silvering on the back of the glass. They stop the mind from looking forward at objects and force it to look backward at the subject. The realization is not, I have gained something new. The realization is, I have finally seen what I always was. How can a false word, since language is part of the illusion, produce a true result? A word that belongs to the realm of appearance can still do work that transcends that realm, because its work is not to construct something new, but to dismantle a construction already standing. The teaching word does not add a brick. It removes the blindfold, and once the blindfold is off, the word itself is no longer needed. It dissolves along with the ignorance it came to cure, leaving no trace of itself behind in the clarity it has revealed. Some say, I have heard the word, but I am not yet free. I must meditate for 1,000 years to make it real. Sureshvara strikes. This is the lingering ghost of the doer. If the word is heard clearly, if the mind is scrubbed of doubt, the realization is instantaneous. Does it take time for the darkness to leave once the lamp is lit? Does it take time for the snake to vanish once you see the rope? No, the delay is not in the truth. The delay is in your own hesitation to believe the mirror. Sovereignty is a right-now reality. It is not a future destination. Once the word has done its work, it falls silent. Just as a medicinal herb leaves the body after curing the fever, the knowledge thought dissolves after destroying the ignorance thought. What remains is the sovereign witness. No words, no maps, no mirrors. Only the unblinking eye of awareness looking at itself in the great silence. The final question rises, how do we prove that consciousness is real? Every truth in the world needs a witness. The pot needs the eye needs the mind needs the logic. What proves the witness? Sureshvara responds, the question contains its own error. You are asking for a proof, which means you are treating consciousness as though it were an object, a thing that could stand before some other tribunal and be verified. But consciousness is not an object of proof. It is not proved and it is not unproved. It simply cannot be placed in front of any instrument of knowing because it is the instrument of knowing itself. Every act of proof requires a knower behind it. That knower cannot be proved by a further knower without an infinite regress. The stopping point is not a proof, it is a recognition. Logic, language, and the world are all visible only because consciousness is already shining before any investigation begins. To ask for a proof of your own awareness is to ask for a map to find the feet you are currently standing on. The witness is not established by evidence. It is that in which all evidence appears. Sureshvara looks back at the 1,000 verses of logic he has built. Logic is a ladder. We have used it to climb out of the mud of the body and the fog of the mind. We have used it to smash the false towers of the rivals. But logic cannot enter the Holy of Holies. Logic is an instrument of the mind, and the mind is a reflection. The ladder takes you to the roof, but it is not the sky. Once you stand in the sovereignty of the self, throw the ladder away. Truth is not an argument to be won, it is a fullness to be inhabited. What is the final relationship? The rest of the Veda prepared the ground by exhausting the seeker's greed. The master's words provided the seed. The Upanishad provided the rain. But the identity was always there, waiting in the silence. The relationship is not between two different things, man and God. It is the relationship between a man and his own forgotten face. It is the end of the other. The introduction is complete. The seeker has been armed with the sword of pure identity. The desert of ritual has been crossed. The slaughter of the compromise is finished. The mirror of the word is clear. Now the gates of the Brihadaranyaka, the great forest, swing open. This is the Upanishad that contains all Upanishads. We do not enter it as beggars looking for a god. We enter it as kings returning to a kingdom we never truly left. I have crossed this great ocean of sovereignty by the bridge of the tradition handed down by my master. I have dived into the waves of logic to find the pearl of oneness. May the seeker who reads these words find the same shore. The dream of birth and death is a ripple. The ego is a foam that vanishes. There is only the one, infinite, unbroken, and sovereign. Here ends the Sambandha Vartika, the great introduction to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We stand now at the edge of the Brihadaranyaka itself, the great forest Upanishad. To enter, the mind must first expand. We begin with the image of the sacrificial horse. In the old world, kings sacrificed a horse to gain power over the earth. In the great forest, we sacrifice the idea of a small world to gain the universe. The Master says, look at the dawn. It is not just a change of light. It is the head of the cosmic steed. Look at the sun. It is the eye. Look at the wind. It is the breath. Look at the open mouth of fire. It is the universal heat. The year is the horse's body. The sky is its back. The atmosphere is its belly. The earth is its hoof. The quarters of space are its flanks. The constellations are its bones. The clouds are its flesh. When you see the horse this way, you are no longer looking at a biological animal. You are looking at time and space wearing a skin. But Sureshvara pauses here and asks the precise question that his teacher's commentary demanded. What are we actually doing when we see the dawn as the horse's head? We are superimposing one thing upon another. We are placing the form of the cosmic upon the frame of the biological, deliberately, as a meditative act. The Upanishad sanctions this superimposition, this adhyasa, because the purpose of the Ashvamedha meditation is not cosmological instruction. The point is not simply to teach you that dawn equals head. The point is to use this act of deliberate superimposition to loosen the grip of the habitual superimposition that runs in the other direction, the one we perform all the time without knowing it, when we take the infinite self and squeeze it into the frame of a body, a name, a history. The meditator who stretches his mind outward to hold the cosmos as a single living form is practicing the reversal of adhyasa. He is learning, gradually, that the frame he normally identifies with is too small. This is the threshold work. You cannot leap from the private room to the infinite in a single bound. The horse teaches you to think at the scale of the sky. The horse is clothed in the two oceans. The gold vessel that appears before the horse is the day. Its home is the eastern sea. The silver vessel that appears behind it is the night. Its home is the western sea. They represent the vast ritual space in which the universe breathes. The horse is here identified with Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb, the first principle of manifest existence, the cosmic intelligence that holds all individual minds the way the sky holds all winds. It is not simply the totality of the world as a physical collection of parts. It is the totality as a single awareness, the first breath of the one before it forgets itself in the many. By meditating on these parts, the seeker stops seeing the world as a collection of things and starts seeing it as a single living organism. Sureshvara asks, why do we start with a horse? Because the horse is the symbol of power and movement. To reach the absolute, you must first become the totality. You must take your individual ego and stretch it across the stars. You see the rivers as the horse's veins. You see the mountains as its liver and lungs. You see the herbs and trees as its hair. When your mind can hold the whole world as its own body, the walls of the private room begin to crumble. The horse is the cosmic ego. It carries the gods, it carries the demons, and it carries the men. It is the bridge between the unmanifested silence and the moving world. To meditate on the cosmic steed is to prepare for the great departure. You are training the mind to think in the language of the infinite. Before you can be nothing, you must first be everything.